I recently came back to Honkai Star Rail after a bit of a break, and holy crap, this game is damn near impossible to get back into as a returning player, and I can't even imagine how it feels for new players. The thing is, what makes it so difficult isn't lugging through the story, it isn't the hours on top of hours of grinding, but it's in fact the team building. See, I recently had a friend that came back to the game because he found out that the dot meta has been revived, and he was always a really big dot enjoyer back in the early stages of the game, so he booted up the game and immediately went to rolling on Celine's banner. Luckily enough, he was able to get her with some of his leftover pulls and was extremely excited to get back into the end game and beat it because he's also seen some of the newer bosses and was really impressed with their designs. But man, oh man, was he completely wrong. See, my friend, let's just call him Billy, didn't do his research and found out that if you don't have Kafka, pulling for Celine is a big no-no. She can technically operate without Kafka, but it isn't advised. So now he's kind of stuck with a half-working character. Luckily enough, Kafka is on rate up as well, so now he's locked in on getting some more Jades to get Kafka and make his dot team work. But what if he doesn't get Kafka? Now he's absolutely screwed. His Acheron team doesn't work anymore because they decided to blow HP on enemies to infinity. His Acheron's out here swinging that sword like a wet noodle. His follow-up team is subpar, so now he has no teams to really lug him through the end game. Luckily enough, HSR has the ability to throw up a handful of rerun characters in a span of one patch, so he has the option of being able to possibly build a new team that can kick ass in endgame. But at the end of the day, it all depends on which characters are reran. But the real question is, even if the characters he needs to fully start building his 2 to 3 teams are on reruns, where the hell does he get his pulls from? But nevertheless, I'm sure you're getting my point here though. Sure, his ignorance of not looking everything up before rolling on Celine was kind of stupid, but it goes to show that HSR should have this information made available within the game for those casual players that don't take the time to look. And unfortunately, the game has gone down a direction where when you pull for one character like Celine, it's never actually like you're pulling for one. You're pulling for an entire package. And if you want to maximize those dots, you better make sure you get Black Swan too. And don't forget your premium sustainer as well, because his Gepard and his Gallagher might not be able to cut it. Back in the day, if you had Topaz, well, now you need Robin. And if you have those two, well, now you need Fei Xiao. This game is one of those games that you need to heavily invest in support characters and side characters, or you won't be able to clear the content and get the full rewards. And it kind of sucks as a returning player and even a new player. You're just kind of thrown into a pit with little to no help, and you kind of just got to make do with what you got. Depending on where you left in the game, you could be royally screwed. If you left off like I did early to midpoint of the 2.0 series, you missed out on some really crucial supports and characters that you would need to make certain comps work. This game kind of faded away from its original single carry option to instead they need buffers, they need sustainers, and they need skill point management. And if you don't have that one piece of the puzzle, the whole team can kind of fall flat, which in turn made the game very consumer unfriendly. Another example is I wanted to roll on Saber's banner. I love the Fate series, and Saber is a cool servant within the Fate realm, so I wanted to get her. But then while I was doing some research on Saber, I found out that if I wanted to get the most potential out of her, I would need Sunday, Robin, and Huo, and I only had one of those supports, and who knows when these characters will be rerun again. So I'm kind of left with the decision of hoping the character isn't straight buns with just Sunday and some 4-star buffers, or just not rolling on her in general. And the same thing with Archer. It was amazing that they gave a moat for free, but if you don't have any SP positive supports, you can't really make much use of him, unfortunately. Even though this issue isn't being voiced much, I know for sure this is something that other people than me are dealing with. And in my humble opinion, with the state that HSR is in, I definitely think it would be beneficial to make this experience less rough for the new and returning players. But how do they onboard newer players and returning players to have somewhat of a shot to thrive in HSR and its endgame? I think the most obvious one would be to provide stronger free supports for us players to use. It's wonderful that the main MC is really strong in the Remembrance path, but we need more free supports that thrive like the MC Remembrance. The other free characters are fine, but don't hold up in the endgame content. HSR could fix this by giving new and returning players free supports. Similar to how they let players get their hands on Ruan Mei or Luocha for free, I feel like they should add more of the characters that are slowly being phased out of the meta right now, and in turn could give new and returning players some time to hold off with to wait for reruns of newer supports. Now I 100% know this is a big ask, and I am a man of compromise. If that's too much to ask from Hoyo, which it most likely is, I think they should take a page out of their previous game's book and implement it into HSR. In Honkai Impact 3rd, when returning players players come back after some time, they can have a fully built character that they can use for up to 30 days. It gave those players some time to build up newer teams and roll on newer characters, also having a really good character on a lease to help push them through crucial content for 30 days. But in HSR's case, they could use this feature for supports or for those one-off characters like Castorice that can give you a fighting chance at tackling endgame. Now, another way they could fix this is by implementing a limited 5-star banner that lets you roll on any meta support or DPS character. It's only a one-time gig, you get your one random support or DPS, and that's it. We've seen it with Honkai Impact 3rd, so we know they're capable of doing something like that. This would allow newer and returning players to have a chance of getting those really good support or DPSs to revive or kickstart their account. Now, doing this could lose Hoyo a lot of money on reruns, so in turn of this, similar to how Fate Grand Order, for those of you that may have heard of it or played it, they have paid banners where you're guaranteed a random 5-star on there. It can have some of the most broken supports and DPSs in the game that have held up for years and years, or some of those okay units that can still help you out. Overall, it's a net positive. This isn't ideal for some people as it would require them to spend money, but this would be a better alternative than possibly dumping $400 on a character. I think another option, and this would definitely be more of an ideal option, and that would be to let players use one of their friend support on Pure Fiction or Forgotten Hall. Now, I know the sweats and the whales are hearing me say this and might be fuming, but I think it would make sense for the earlier stages to have this, but not the later stages. This could go the extra mile for those players that are missing 1 to 2 pieces for their team. Closing in that gap could then in turn help us new and returning players out to at least clear a bit of the endgame content and get access to those stellar jades every rotation. Or another way could be by having key supports rerun more often rather than waiting 6 months for a single rerun. It sucks nothing more than missing that one piece for your team's build to then have to wait patch after patch after patch waiting for that rerun. Just naturally have sped up reruns for key universal supports. There's so many ways that they could get creative and make this experience more bearable for new and returning players, especially with how the story is getting better and better and more characters like Finon are looking crazier than ever. More people would be coming back and giving this game a shot, so making sure their experience isn't dog shit would be beneficial, so that way they can keep playing the game long term. But at the end of the day, this problem isn't end all be all. Whether they fix it now or never, it's not the end of the world. This is a harsh reality of being away from the game for too long, or just now getting into the game. You'll be at a disadvantage for a long time until you can catch up. Despite me having these feelings of being locked out and unable to complete certain content because I don't have the proper units to make it work, despite how brutal it is for returning and newer players, people like me still try, because when you finally get that team together, it truly does feel amazing. Watching this team that you spend weeks and months on top of months building and you're finally able to clear that end game mode is definitely a fulfilling feeling. All that I ask is that Hoyo makes it a bit more of a smoother process for us newbies and returning players. This is something that I always felt even back when I was still consistently playing the game, but now this feeling is 100% more amplified. If you're not playing this game regular and keeping up with new meta characters, you're left behind very quickly and you feel like you're always playing catch up. But at the end of the day, this is just kind of how I'm feeling. As a returning player, I could just be a bit out of touch, so if any of you have made it this far into the video and have any tips and tricks on team building and who I should focus on, or simply want to share your opinion on the video, feel free to share it in the comment section down below. I always have an open ear. Now that I'm playing HSR again, I'm glad to be back and would love to have some guidance. But for those of you that don't know me, my name is Smack. I used to be a strictly ZZZ channel, but now I'm broadening myself within the gacha space. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the sub button and turn the notification bell on so you don't miss out on any future videos. If you like this video, I'm sure you'd like the following videos on screen. On the left, we talk about how I believe ZZZ is an average game that has the potential of becoming the best game within the space. And on the right, I decided to replay Genshin Impact as a retired hater, and it's definitely a fun watch. That's all I got today for you freaky frogs. I hope you all take care, stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.